I thought about it and I think it is time to tell my story. This is a true story that happened to me. I am not here to prove to skeptics, just to tell my story. Those who have experienced anything similar to this will know that it is possible. Before this encounter I didn't have any experience with the jinn and I had no idea what they were capable of. It all started when I was 13 to 14. I am 21 now. I used to watch ghost shows for fun as entertainment, but I never believed what I saw could happen to me. I believed it was possible, but I had my doubts. One night I did something dumb. I was so curious about the existence of jinns that I sat in prayer one night, and after I finished my prayer I called out to Allah and I asked Allah, God, if jinns are real, let me have an experience of my own. I said something along those lines. Either way, I was asking Allah, God, to prove their existence to me. I don't know why on earth I asked for that. I know it was dumb, but I was curious, and this is where it all started. Once I said that, Allah, God, answered my prayer and something came through. So one night after I made that prayer I was getting ready to sleep. I wasn't in bed yet, just sorting out a couple of things in my bedroom. I heard a woman say to me, go to sleep sweetheart, in a soft soothing voice in an accent I have never heard before. This was clear as day, as if she was behind me. In that moment I hadn't experienced anything like that before, so I just thought it was because I was tired. I fell asleep and I woke up the next morning getting ready for school. I was happy. I was putting on my clothes when something came up to my ear, my left ear, and started speaking in this deep guttural voice that no human man or woman could ever make. It was speaking in a language I have never heard of in my entire life. In that moment I didn't understand what was happening. I was frozen in fear. It terrified me. All I know is that as soon as it was done I went frantic to my mother and everyone was asking me what was wrong. After that incident I started to feel something watching me. I felt it more when I was alone. It was uncomfortable to be in a room alone. I always had this creepy, scary feeling at certain times in the night. It was almost like it was the perfect opportunity for this thing to attack me. One night it was one of those uncomfortable nights, so I lay in my bed listening to Quran with earphones when this thing came up to my ear again, blocked the sound of the Quran playing in my ear almost as if it completely muffled out my earphones. Then it began to speak in this deep, low, guttural voice in a language I can't understand. It freaked me out. I was shaking and scared. One thing about me was I stayed on my prayers and I read and listened to Quran constantly. But if I ever missed my prayer, this thing would come for me. When I missed a prayer, it was almost like an opportunity for it come after me. It hated prayer. One time when I stood to pray on my own I said Allahu Akbar loudly and this thing screamed no in a high-pitched voice. This jinn would also constantly growl during the night at the bottom of the stairs like an animal. So I'm going to tell you the last 3 experiences I had with this jinn. One night I went to my cousin's house and the house was mainly full of female family members. The only male was a boy who wasn't older than the age of 7. One night I woke up out of everyone is fast asleep. I could hear snores. I got up, went to the toilet, I did my business and came out. Bear in mind, in Islam you are supposed to say a dua, a prayer of protection, before entering the toilet, because there are evil jinns that love living in the toilet. I didn't do this. When I came out I heard his jinn laugh at me with its unnaturally deep voice and say, my name, I can see you, almost like it's singing, you know in horror movies when kids sing in a creepy way. Yes, like that, but imagine a deep, dark, demonic voice. I went back to the room terrified, thinking about what just happened. The only thing that comforted me was that I wasn't sleeping alone in that room. Shortly after this experience I went down to the kitchen late at night to get some water. I had that same feeling again, that something was watching me, but I ignored it. Was common at this point on. Just before I got to the stairs I looked at the corridor leading to the living room. The light in the kitchen was still on, which gave some illumination. Bear in mind the living room door was wide open so I could see into it. When I looked and I saw a tall dark figure, darker than the room, walking through the living room. It reached the ceiling. That's how tall it was. He had a dark top hat on and I couldn't see any features on its face. It had what looked like a long dark jacket that reached above its feet. It was through the living room, but the direction it was walking towards was just a wall. Anyways, I didn't want to find out where it went. I went up the stairs to my room. One of the final experiences I had was I was asleep one night and I woke to a hand touching my feet. I felt fingers wrap around my ankles, like I felt each individual finger slowly wrapping around my ankles. Everyone else was asleep and when I looked no one was there. Eventually it all stopped the same way. I asked Allah to show me. Allah removed this thing. But this was a couple of months to a year. But when it stopped, this jinn never came back.